been quite a while since I've done any work on the old workshop redevelopment. In fact, it's been about 3 months because I did mothball the project over winter and I've been away for a couple of months. It's really good to get back into it. I'm starting off by getting the ceiling plasterboarded. Now you'll see yesterday Wazzy came over and we got all the main panels, all the big panels done. They still were cut to fit to the rafters and to fit in between these big purlins. I'm using acoustic 15mm thick boards, so they're pretty darn heavy, which is why I need someone really to help me. All the big sections are done. So I did hire this plasterboard lifter thing. I know you can buy these fairly cheaply, but I've got to reach up quite high here, so I wanted something quite decent, and I don't want to buy something I'm just going to use once potentially. This thing's pretty good. You obviously load the plasterboard up onto it here, it tilts, etc. And then you got the handle. And it goes up, quite clever. Plasterboard just sits in here and grips, but as you push the thing up, this actually collapses backwards. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, about 10 sheets or something. I've got 15 sheets in total, so we got about 10 sheets up yesterday, all the big sheets. So today I'm just gonna get all the smaller sheets, all these awkward cuts, because I've got to cut around all the steels, etc. Still going to use this machine, I think, to try and get the big ones up there. I've also nearly run out of fixing, so I've ordered some more of those. But make a start. I might even just get a few of the easy ones knocked out. I did also invest in this straight edge T thing as well, which is so much easier to use. In the past, I've used sort of levels and all sorts of weird things, but this is obviously long enough to go across a 1.2 sheet of plasterboard. It makes life a lot easier. Got the plasterboard on the lift thing there. Got some fixings in my pocket. Screwdriver drill thing there. Let's see if we can hoik it up. And I may have to notch that plasterboard around those wall plate straps as well. Hopefully that gives you an idea of how this contraption works, and there is that panel up there. I'm going to attempt this one next, which isn't too tricky, but it's not quite 1.2 that way, so I've trimmed a bit off that top edge and it's where the two purlins cross over. So that is what I've got. That notches for the purlin there, and I don't think the lifter can help me with this occasion. I'll just hand lift that up into place, but I have got my trusty plasterboard props. I've owned these for many years. The ends have all broken apart, but I just gaffer tape them up for now, so they'll just help hold it in place. These are really good little things. You just squeeze the handle. Let's see if we can get this board up into place. Did cut it a little bit tight on this edge, which is why I used a bit of timber just to knock that up into position, but pretty pleased with that. Super tight fit all the way around. This one will be interesting. It's got a weird L shape for one thing. It's a fairly decent size, so I've got it on the lifter here and my props don't reach, so I've got one prop on this toolbox, so I'll reach up to the ceiling. It's obviously the highest part of the ceiling. And the other prop I got on a bucket. Somehow lift this up roughly and then push it over in towards the next one and then use the props to hold it in place. It's gonna be an experience. Let's see how we get on. This bit of plasterboard's just on the edge of whether I can comfortably lift it up a ladder or not. So I thought I might as well make use of the machine, and it just about fits in this space. And then what you'll notice is when these back arms hit the ceiling, it just automatically tilts up then. And there, got it pretty close. Hopefully my measurements are right, and it will just slot in. So I'm just going to run up and put some screws in. Don't want to bore you too much, but got the first two of these awkward ones. I've had to notch around the steels, that one and this one here. This one went a lot smoother than the first one. And then I just got the two other awkward ones to finish. The plasterboarding is done. Each big sheet has got 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24 fixings in each. Would have used over 300 fixings, and they're 160mm long fixings. And I have been umming and ahhing about how to finish off this plasterboard. In the past, when I've plasterboarded anything, I've got a plasterer in to do a skim coat over the top, but this is quite a big area, so it's going to be kind of out of my budget, I think, to pay for someone to come in. There's no chance that I'm going to try and learn plastering and tackle this thing. So I think what I'm going to do is actually do tape and fill joints. Never done that before, but watched a couple of videos and doesn't look too bad. See what a mess I can make of it. To be honest, it doesn't have to be absolutely perfect. This is kind of an industrial building, so yeah, I'm going to do my best with that. Collected some stuff together, some tools, etc., and I'm going to be using this Gyprock Easy Fill 60. That's 60 minutes of working time, so that should give me a bit of time for my first time, so I'm going to be a bit slow obviously to start with. I have got a bucket of clean water to wash my tools off, watering can full of water to mix it up, and a bucket to mix the Gyprock up in. I did actually invest in one of these Hawk things, £10, not bad. This is an old mixer thing I had from way back, I can't remember now, so I can mix up the Gyprock here, make things a bit easier. Did buy a new 6-inch knife thing here, and this is my trusty knife I've had for a while. And I've got two different types of tape. There's two different edges to fill on the plasterboard. There's the long edge, and that's a tapered edge. You can see that there and there, for instance. So you get a bit of room then to fill it with a filler, and I'll be using, I think it's fiberglass reinforced tape on the shorter edge where they're butted up together. You can see down there's obviously no taper, and that's when I'll be using the paper tape. With this joint tape, you put it on directly to the plasterboard. With the paper stuff, you actually put a thin layer of the Gyprock on first and then lay the tape into it. Hopefully it all makes sense as we go along. I did pick this particular brand of jointing tape because it was supposed to be extra sticky. Let's see how it goes on. I'm not going to mix up too much of this for now, for the first time, just to get a feel of it. I think slow and steady to start with. Now the idea is the first pass just to squeeze some of this through the gaps in this mesh into the holes, you know, the gap between the plasterboard. It looks a bit messy now, but like I say, that's first pass. Apparently you need to leave that for about an hour, so it's pretty much gone off, and then put the second one on. So I'll move on to something else now. I might actually do this joint here with the paper. Battery died on my camera, but you can see I did some of the paper joint there, and another one of the fiberglass reinforced taped joints there on the taper joint. And I did get a few of the screw holes done. I did do this section along here, and that was a complete pain. I don't know if you can see how rough it is. It's kind of difficult with the knife when you're following along there. Fairly easy when you do it with two tapered edges because the knife follows two perfectly flat surfaces. I was looking at this and I'm thinking, do I really need to fill those bottom joints? I know it's tapered, but you just really can't notice it. I've looked in the daylight, I just don't think you'll ever notice those joints. And the problem is, they're all the way along this one. There's another tapered edge all the way along this one, and then again all the way along the top one. And each one would need 2 passes to get perfect, I think. So I just think I'm not going to bother. I'm just going to caulk in the gaps there. If it bothers me in the future, I could always fill it, I guess. I think I will need to do those on the top edge because it was just slightly wider than a plasterboard width, and that just looks a bit of a mess. You can see there I put another lot of the fiberglass reinforced tape in there. I gave everything a second coat, including even the screw holes, and I've also sanded everything down, which is why it all looks kind of smudged, if you see what I mean. I just had one of these things and I am absolutely covered in dust. This is by no means perfect. Some of it came out pretty good. I don't think I put enough plaster on the taped joints. I was just so worried about having so much to sand off. I went quite lightly with it, but in a couple of places when I was sanding down, I did rough up the actual paper itself. It certainly isn't perfect, but I've sanded down just as much as my neck and my back will handle. I think I'm gonna call it done for the sanding and the filling. Once I put a first coat of white paint on, I think it's going to show up anything that's really bad, or it may help disguise some of it, I don't really know. And now I'm going to go around. I've got some caulk, and if you've never used this before, it's kind of really malleable, quite soft. You just squeeze it into all the joints and you can just wipe it off with your finger. Works really well. But there is a lot to do. I need to caulk basically all the perimeters to every bit of boarding. So you've got this perimeter, that perimeter, that perimeter. Do you see what I mean? And the next section, so even a little lobby area here, where the gaps are really big, it would have just used so much caulk. I just squeezed a little bit expanding foam into there. Areas like this, I put expanding foam in there because it was quite a big gap. I got the caulking done. Does definitely neaten everything up, but that took me pretty much all day to caulk. Literally got through 8 of them and I think 4 rolls of masking tape to do all that. As I mentioned before, the only plasterboard I've ever done has always been skim finished, and I'm a little bit worried about just painting directly onto this plasterboard. Done a little bit of research, and there's a lot of people that recommend sealing it first. I'm sure some people do just paint it and it probably wouldn't be a problem. There's a few different products. They roughly all cost about the same. 1 litre will do 9 square meters, it says. I've actually got 3 of these cans. Never applied this stuff before. It is water based. Hopefully it'll just go on with a large brush. Good thing with that cedar stuff, it's really obvious where you've sealed, if you see what I mean. It darkens up the plasterboard quite a lot. The whole ceiling is fully sealed. And now it's all dry. It's absolutely completely soaked in and nice and flat. I was a bit concerned that you could see brush marks before, but it looks really good. I'm going to spend the next few hours of my life masking everything off. I think that's probably around 70-80 meters at least of masking tape, but we are ready for paint. Paint wise, I'm using this stuff. Did some research, seem to have really good recommendations. Probably will need 2 coats, but obviously it needs to cover up the blue of the plasterboard. I think because I've sealed it, it'll make it much easier. But I didn't want to just buy some really cheap emulsion and then end up having to put 3 or 4 coats on. I'll probably have some kind of little kitchenette. This paint is suitable for kitchens and bathrooms, etc. It is matte finish, but it is wipeable and moisture resistant. And that is 1 coat of paint applied. Been around all the edges as well, and it's a little bit patchy. Obviously the blue plasterboard comes through a bit. So let's get a second coat on and see how it looks then. And in an ideal world, I think that would need another coat after that, 3 coats. You can just see a little bit of blue patchiness. I'll make a decision in the morning. I think actually tonight I might just go around and take off all the masking tape. If anyone's ever used masking tape before, they'll know that you leave that stuff on too long and it can become really difficult to take off. I think it's going to come off fine from all the concrete block work because it's barely sticking to that anyway, but I'm just a little bit worried along all this timber where it's going to just get stuck on there and be a nightmare to take off. If I do need to do a 3rd coat or even touch up anywhere, I won't be going near the edge anyway, I don't think, so I think it's probably safest to get that off now. This is by no means perfect. There's a little bit of patchiness in a few places. I did stick with just the 2 coats. I touched up a few of the worst bits with the little bit of paint I had left. And also on the edges, there's a little bit of bleeding, if that's the right word, just where the paint has crept behind the masking tape. It's just really difficult to get masking tape to stick nicely on that block work. And even in a few places on the timber. Other areas like this has come out really nice. There's a nice tight line there with the paint. I'm not too worried. What I find is that where it has bled there, this for instance, once the paint's completely dry, you can actually just scrape that back and neaten that up. But you want that paint to be really dry, because if you try and do it and it's not 100% dry, it just smudges it. Yeah, I will tidy things up a bit more. But for now, that ceiling is done. And just in case you're wondering what's going on with these things, the purlins are sat on. These are kind of temporary, well, they're going to be covered up anyway, because I will be infilling these triangle sections with plasterboard. So this video really was just an update to the redevelopment of the old workshop. There's a few people out there that have been following the build and progress of this and were keen for an update. But if anyone is thinking of undertaking a bit of plasterboarding and doing the tape and fill technique on the joints, so you don't have to get a plasterer involved, I hope this video has been useful to you. And I just want to thank everyone for watching. If you have liked the video, please hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't already. I will be back on the automotive content very soon. And if you would like to support the channel, we do have merchandise for sale, t-shirts, mugs, that kind of thing. I'll put a link below. You can find us on Facebook and Instagram, and we'll see you on the next one. Cheers.